another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Wow, look at you. Shot out of a cannon today. Awesome. Today we're going to talk about something or other. We did which is always a good thing, we did a video, month and a half ago, where we talked about best practices and how you see what other people do and you incorporate it into what you do as well.
Sure.
And, there are right ways and wrong ways to do things. And I'm certain this person doesn't mind me using their name because they posted a comment on there. And it's a good friend of the channel, Calamity Photo. Definitely do check Calamity out. Does a Whatnot show, buys things for me at my Whatnot show, and the like. And this is what Calamity said. I definitely pay attention to best practices in the categories I sell, but I only see them as mild inspiration. I try to think creatively, experiment with thoughtful intention, collect as much data as I can, and make decisions that way. I think it helps me think outside the box and get above my competitors. So Calamity doesn't put a lot of stock in best practices overall. And that got me thinking, and I want to hear your thought on this, Mr. Magazine.
All right.
I think that best practices are an absolute necessity in, let's call it rote work, in the things that you are going to be doing regularly. And by that I mean pulling items, packing items, even your storage system, figure out a best practice of that.
Yeah.
Because those items or those things are just things you just do almost time and time again.
Right.
You can't really, generally speaking, that I can think of practically, be creative in how you send out a magazine.
Not really. Just be efficient, neat, professional. I mean, that's what it comes down to, really.
Yep, and you're going to be sending out whether, value-wise, maybe whether you use a box or you use a envelope, a padded envelope, cardboard in it, in a bag. I mean, that's how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
There's no creativity needed in that.
Right.
However, I would agree with Calamity completely on the other side of things, and that is on the purchasing side of things and on the what you buy and what you list and how you list. I think there the creativity can pay off. What do you feel about that, Mr. Magazine?
I don't think it can hurt.
No.
Let's put it that way. Right.
Wow, you're a man of few words today.
Thank you.
But exactly. If you can think of a different way to do something, there's.
I got an example as far as pulling an order.
Okay.
So we've always had issues because we've been doing this for 12, 15 years, warehousing for close to 10. Mm-hmm. And obviously through time when we use banker boxes because it's cheap and efficient.
Yep.
And over time we sell magazines out of it daily. And after 3, 4, 5 years, the full box that's nice and tight and sturdy gets down to a disheveled 5, 10, 15, or 20. And then when one sells 8 years later, the cover's torn, there's a crease, the cover's folded back or, separated. So I'm trying to think of ways to avoid that. And the employees generally they were putting them in where the flat side's on the right.
Okay.
And then the sideways, however you want to call it, spines facing up is on the left.
Okay.
So it may not make a difference, but I was thinking if it's the other way around, and this was like 2 years ago, if it's the other way around where the flat side is on the left and the upright ones with the spine facing up are on the right, which is the smaller 3-4 inches left in the box, the spines on the flat side always are higher, forcing the magazines to push downward to the right.
Yes.
So that would keep things tighter, in my opinion. It may or may not be any difference, but I'm thinking myself that would be very efficient, saving some damage over the years. But little things like that.
Well, let me tell you how I do things. I use magazine boxes. Anywho.
That's a very expensive way of going broke.
But what I do is in a banker box, which I do use regularly as well, the standard size magazines I take and I pile, which leaves about that much room on the side.
Yep.
And then the room on the side, I fill in with playbills, hardcover books,
Gotcha.
miscellaneous things like
Yeah.
that. And then any of the oversized items I might have, we'll take, say I sold Life magazines,
Yeah.
those I would put sideways across. So you've got a stack of magazines,
Yep.
a stack of brochures, pamphlets, anything that fits on the other side,
Yeah.
and then you've got a cross. Now, that might not work well for you because you primarily just are listing magazines, and it's not
Yeah.
worth it to sit there and, okay, this guy's going to list
Right.
70 magazines. I'm going to go and purposely give him 40 playbills
Right,
just
right,
to,
exactly.
to balance out the
Yeah,
box.
and we do that if opportunity presents itself with some digests and stuff, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, okay, digest actually would work very,
Yeah.
very well in that. Yeah, so here we are discussing best practices here on the packing side of things as well. But I want to definitely thank Calamity for bringing that up because it was some food for thought, and it definitely did get us thinking about it, got me thinking about when the comment was said. And yes, I think on the purchasing side of things, yeah, I mean, obviously there are best practices. You pay less money,
Yeah.
you do this. There are best practices on how to close the deal and that sort of thing. And there are best practices on listing. I
Yeah.
know Auction Professor talks all the time, and again, he'll admit he stole it from somebody else, but with the zoom in and all that kind of stuff, those definitely are best practices. There's no
Sure.
doubt at all
Yeah.
about that. But be a little more fast and loose with the best practices on that side, because that's where your creativity can show through. And if you've thought of a way to do something that nobody else has thought of doing, nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Sure.
Best practices are written off what you've done throughout the years, following off other people, seeing how
Yeah.
they do it and the like. But you certainly can be a trailblazer on the purchasing side of things. In fact, I think that's really is where you make a lot of your money at, is you are the person who's buying things that nobody else thinks of.
Right.
And I'll give
Yeah.
a perfect example. I was today, we obviously shoot early. Today I was at a book sale and I heard continually a beep, beep, beep. And no, it wasn't a book sale at a hospital.
I thought a truck was backing up to buy all the books, but okay.
There you go. But somebody or other had the little scanner,
Yeah.
and I heard the beep sound when they were beeping it on each item.
They don't make a mute for that? I'd prefer a mute on that one.
Yeah, this guy was just beeping it out loud for whatever reason. So I said to myself, I'm not going to look at the books that, certainly if I could figure out, if I were really serious about it, what I would do is I would watch the gentleman for a minute and see which way he's moving.
Yeah.
Because then if I can jump ahead of where he is, I can
Right.
certainly look at books with ISBN.
Sure.
But otherwise, why waste my time looking at ISBN books, because he's already done
Right,
that.
exactly.
So that's a best practice. You just notice that, okay, here's what this guy has done.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time, because the odds of him having his beep thing set up to $500 or more, so he's leaving $300 books there, aren't real high.
Yeah, right.
They're probably set up at $25 or something or other like that.
Yeah.
So you could still get an okay book, but you're not going to get a great book there. But that's also where I see he's doing that, so I change what I'm buying,
Sure.
off of what he's buying as well, and I go for some of the niches that he would not be interested in. So I do definitely want to thank Calamity for that comment. It did spur some thought, and again, I would half agree. I would agree. I think that some things, there is a right way to pack a 78 record. There is a right way
Yeah.
to pack
True.
a glass. There are certainly wrong ways to do it. So those are things you definitely want to use best practices on.
Yeah. Graded comics.
There definitely is a right way and a
Funko
wrong way to
Pops.
do that.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
But when you get into the other things that are more creative sided, which is the purchasing and how you're going to list it and what keywords you're going to use and
Right.
even how you're going to present this, how you set your store up. Yes, there are best practices on setting a store up. I'll give you a perfect example. It is a best practice to have store categories. That would be a best
Yeah,
practice.
yeah, for sure.
However, you can then use some creativity and set them up your way that works well for you. You can organize them alphabetically. You can organize them by amount of items. You
Yeah.
can organize them by. You may want to figure out you can hand organize them. So you may want to personally organize them. Hey, I'm going to do this because I sell a lot of travel brochures.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the 50 states, and I'm going to do Maine, and I'm going to do whatever states next to it, New Hampshire, Vermont,
Sure.
etc. I mean, if that's what you decide you want to do, be creative about it. Nothing wrong at all about that.
Yeah.
So a best practice, have store categories. but then the creativity can come in after that. And you don't have to name it comic books. You can come up with a different way to name it as well.
Right.
So hopefully that helps you some, and definitely do thank Calamity. And if other people have things they'd like us to talk about or throw things on the floor because they're so angry, but don't be angry. Hit the like button. But if you do have anything like that you want us to talk about or food for thought, definitely do comment down below as well. We do read all comments and we respond back to them. And we definitely do appreciate all of you out there. So we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.